Okay.
All righty, thank you. We are now back, we've come out of non-public. We are back to our special meeting of Monday, 30 January 2023. We've had our discussion about a legal matter involving the purchase of a parcel of land, lot 107-3. And I would ask if any of the board have a motion to make with regard to our discussion.
I'd like to make a motion that we, on relative to lot 107.3, which is adjacent to the new sewage treatment plant to be built, that we forward the appraisal that was done on the land to Terrell Corporation, and ask them to get back to us with their thoughts. We're in an eminent domain proceeding, and would like to see what they think about the appraisal of 295,000 plus a little bit from the appraisal, and hopefully we can come to a conclusion on a acceptable price between the select board and the town and Terrell.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Do we have anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify before we do anything else here in non-public. The Selectmen's Ordinance 8, the wording of it, I wanted to make sure that you're okay with the change being that paragraph 2, which says no construction activity that produces an unreasonable amount of noise, which may be heard from adjacent and or public properties, shall be permitted at any time on Sundays, federal holidays, and any observed federal holidays. Because we had picked out 5 specific holidays rather than all federal holidays. And then there were comments made during the public hearing. And what I thought I heard the board consensus to be was to go back to all of the federal holidays and or as observed, right?
Right.
So I just wanted to clarify that language. Whether you want it to be just the 5 and when they're observed, or whether you want it to be all federal holidays. So that would include Juneteenth and
Columbus Day,
Columbus
during the
Day
construction season in
and
particular.
MLK.
So the only addition would be and when they were observed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so that
Change
would be
the
the only.
the
Otherwise, it would be the same as it was,
same days,
Correct,
plus and when.
but that's what I,
right?
you know,
because
Same as it was, except we put in the phrase that said
clarification.
as observed.
For clarification. Yeah, I mean, the sense I'm getting around town is that the warrant article is written, could very well go down in defeat, and then we would lose the as observed
Mhm,
part of this
mhm,
if it did.
mhm.
I agree.
Okay.
So I think that's
Okay.
makes sense as a change
okay,
Yeah.
to me.
and if you're fine with that, we will have that on the warrant that way. Okay, So
And
that's-
I had posed a question, I think, about whether in fact the selectmen could designate other days. And this was a question that just ran through my mind. Suppose we had some kind of special event that was
My
going on that
birthday.
was not, that was not on those days, right?
Make it an official holiday in Waterloo Valley.
And we wanted to limit noise.
well, I
Can you do
did
that?
talk to,
Mhm.
I did talk to Chief Payer about that. The concern that we would have doing that is what would be the period of notice prior to those days? How, how would you notice that to the public that it was a no construct day? It just would be a difficult thing to put into an ordinance, exactly how that would happen.
But does the fact that the select board has the ability to make exceptions to this ordinance, is that an exception that we can make?
How does it read
You-
now? What exception do we actually have?
You have the authority to
I would think would have the authority to lessen.
That's right.
That's
You
what I was
have,
thinking,
you don't have the authority to make it more restrictive. You have the authority to make it less
Yeah.
restrictive.
so we
Okay,
couldn't add
that's-
days
So you
That was
can't
my
add
question.
under the
days
current.
That was my
under-
question.
Under the current.
this.
Under the current.
And
Or
we
the
did
new
talk
wording.
about how we might put that in as another.
Yeah, and I didn't
paragraph,
want to
but
do
it
that. I
doesn't-
was just asking whether the ordinance as it's stated.
No,
allowed
as it's
you to go
stated,
back.
does not.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
Right?
So.
Anything
That's,
else?
I think that's all I have right now. I'm very close to having the. Draft of the warrant finalized
Right.
with all the numbers filled in and the community power committee has forwarded a warrant article that they want to have seen in here. They did make a
Community electric
recommendation.
power.
No, it's the Community Power Committee, but yes, it's Community Electric Power. Also, they made a recommendation for the solar exemption on the percentage.
Right.
So
Right, that was-
that's in
that was
here
hanging
now.
too. Right.
Yep, so I think we're pretty close on the warrant. One thing I did ask town council was on the stories of Waterville Valley. There is wording that we can put in here if you want, that the town portion of the funding, the fund balance amount cannot be expended unless there is an offset, equal offset with grant funding. So
Make it more specific than what it
make it
says.
more specific
Which
to
was our
what it
intent
said,
anyway.
and
Yeah.
the intent of that is that the town would know that we're not just simply gonna spend the $50,000 of town money and be done with it.
Right.
So it does change the numbers in the warrant article. It makes it a gross budget of 100,000 with 50,000 to come from
Right.
fund balance and the other 50,000 to come from grant funding. But for every dollar that you spend out of fund balance, you have to have a grant dollar. Okay, so
Well,
that's
so that
all
would
we
be,
do.
It's an
that would mean it's an up to $50,000.
Yes, it's up, it says up to $50,000.
Do you want to say at
And-
least? Or,
No,
up
it
to-
says up to
Oh,
$50,000.
the town, the town portion, sorry, I meant,
So
I thought you
our
meant-
portion is capped,
right, okay,
and additionally, we can't spend any of it unless there's a grant. So if through the year, we only got $20,000 in grant funding, the total we could spend would be 40,000.
But do we want to do that? I mean, do we want to? I mean, if it takes $100,000 to do what he wants to do,
Mhm.
do we want to put $20,000 into something that's not going to be complete?
Well, no, you still have the authority as the board to say if you spend $1 out of it. I mean, you.
That's another
still-
decision.
That's another.
it's not, we're just
decision.
getting the authorization,
All you're getting is the authorization to spend up to the $100,000, but by putting this wording in. You're telling town meeting, we're not gonna spend anything unless we get grant funding.
Okay, but again, just to make sure I make my point,
Yeah,
you know, if they only get $10,000 in grant money,
Mhm.
and he says, you know, give me your $10,000 town. Because I got $10,000, we're gonna get this thing started. We can
Yep.
say no to that,
absolutely.
Mhm,
Yeah.
okay,
mhm.
I had envisioned it
Mm.
kind of the other way around, like if as he has stated. That there's a lot of outside support for this. So come in and show us 50,000, you can tell him, okay, we now have this authorization. But until you show us $50,000 in grant funding,
Mhm.
we're not gonna release $1 of the town money.
but you don't think that ought to be in the warrant as opposed to the way that you're suggesting it be worded?
Well, this is the wording that town council
Okay,
Mhm.
has recommended to get. to
okay, as
this
long as
point.
we have the
You
authority not
still
to,
have the
In the end,
authority to
right.
not spend anything.
okay,
So, it would be up to
Would-
the board. how-
Would we
how
have the
you
authority
proceed.
not to spend anything if he reaches, if we do reach 50,000
Yeah,
or
because you
above?
have to, you
We
have
have
to
to
accept
still-
the grant.
We still have to
It's
accept the
not-
grant money, so we still have complete control over
Yeah,
the expenditure of any
Right.
town funds, whatever the grant money is,
whatever the. grant
whatever the
is.
amount the grant money
Okay.
is. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Change. to the-
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
To the one.
you'll see it in
Yeah.
here like that, but you're gonna see, we're gonna have to change the summary. Have to put 100,000 on that line instead of 50. And then we're gonna have to just increase 50,000 in revenues, so
It's.
it'll balance out, it doesn't affect the bottom line.
because it's coming out of,
Because number one, it comes out of fund balance for the 50 that the town's doing, and we have not put the 50,000 in grant funding
Into
for
the,
revenue.
into the revenue side, that's
Yeah,
all.
so we're gonna increase the revenue by 50.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds fine. And what's the target date for getting the warrant? published?
I will have we got just a couple more slides that Steve and I need to work on over the next day or two.
Mhm.
So I should have something to you by Wednesday for the slides. You can look them over, and if you think we need to have a meeting to discuss them, we can. Otherwise, you can just provide me with some comments back, and
Okay.
we'll be good to go for the 8th,
Yeah, it's next week. Yeah,
beginning next week.
good. Do you have anything else?
That's all I have.
Bob, Margaret, anything else? For the
Nope.
special meeting? All right, we have another matter to discuss in non-public, having to do with a personnel issue. So I would entertain a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Karen, let us know.